In my last JonBenét video, I was completely overwhelmed by the sheer number of comments. They ranged from agreeing with me to disagreeing with me to sharing completely separate theories that I didn't even mention. A good portion of you also requested a deep dive specifically focused on the various theories surrounding the case. Welcome to That's My Opinion, where we discuss the biggest stories to spark honest conversations. And today we're diving into a theory-only video covering everything from the plausible to the outright bizarre. My name is Bacon Bears, and if you like what you see here today, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's get started. So the number one theory that I'm going to dive into is the family involvement. This theory has to be the one that I tend to get over and over and over again. Let's start with Patsy Ramsey. The theory suggests that Patsy Ramsey accidentally kills her own daughter, JonBenét, in a fit of rage over bedwetting. In a moment of frustration, something goes wrong and JonBenét ends up dead. Fearing the consequences, Patsy allegedly staged the crime scene to look like a kidnapping, even writing the ransom note herself to cover up the accidental death. However, if it was Patsy, I don't believe that she would have been capable of doing this by herself. I'm not sure Patsy was the type of person who even knew what a garrote was, let alone be capable of making one. Then there's the assault. Why take the extra mile for just a cover-up? However, this is exactly what Detective Steve Thomas would like you to believe. He even wrote a book about it, and the Ramseys ended up suing him over the book. Then we have the theory about John Ramsey. The theory suggests that John Ramsey abused and killed JonBenét to silence her. After her death, he allegedly staged the crime scene to make it look like a kidnapping, all in an effort to protect his family and avoid the truth coming to light. However, we don't have any definitive evidence that abuse has happened to JonBenét at any time, except for the day that she passed away. And the reason that I say this is because you have experts contradicting each other's statements, and there's never truly been a definitive answer on if there was or wasn't something happening to her. The other thing to remember is John was ruled out as the author of the ransom note. Now, he would have the knowledge of how to tie a garrote, but he wouldn't have been able to write the ransom note. And then we get to probably the most popular theory, which is that the crime had something to do with Burke Ramsey. One theory suggests that Burke Ramsey accidentally killed JonBenét by hitting her with a flashlight during an argument over pineapple. That was according to a CBS documentary, I believe, and they also got sued. But fearing he would be arrested, his parents allegedly covered up to protect him. Another theory is the sibling jealousy theory, and that suggests that Burke was jealous of JonBenét's attention and success, and he lashed out in anger, leading to her demise. But again, my question, if this is a cover-up, the assault, who and why? If this is truly a cover-up, why take the extra step to do such horrific things to a 6-year-old girl? Now, it is important to remember that the Ramseys have all been exonerated of this crime. An article from CNN states the DNA of an unknown male was detected, but the DNA didn't match anyone who had been near the scene or who handled her body. The results excluded John, Patsy, and Burke Ramsey. But if not the family, then who? So we have to move into the intruder theories. The first one we have is Bill McReynolds, a local Santa Claus impersonator. He has this strange fascination with JonBenét. It's been alleged that he gave her a note saying she would receive a special gift after Christmas, which some believe could have been connected to her death. McReynolds was questioned by authorities, but he was never considered a prime suspect. His alibi for the night of JonBenét's death was also verified, and no physical evidence tied him to the crime scene. Then we have John Mark Carr. In 2006, John Mark Carr, a school teacher of elementary children, might I add, made a dramatic and highly publicized confession to the murder of JonBenét Ramsey. He claimed that he was present when she was killed and provided some details that seemed to match parts of the case that only the person in the room with her would know. But despite his confession, Carr's DNA did not match the evidence found at the crime scene, specifically the DNA found on JonBenét's underwear. This crucial fact undermined his credibility, and it was even eventually determined that Carr had no involvement in her death. Carr was arrested and extradited to Colorado, but after further investigation, the charges against him were dropped due to lack of evidence linking him to this crime. Also, it's important to note that Carr's whereabouts on the night of JonBenét Ramsey's murder were also investigated, and it was determined that he was in Georgia, not Colorado. Carr had been living in Alabama at the time of the murder, but he had traveled to Georgia, where he was staying with a friend. This information was confirmed by authorities, which placed him far from the crime scene in Colorado at the time. Now, some people in my comments have asked about the housekeeper, especially because Patsy said that she had just asked to borrow money or perhaps maybe a handyman that was around the house. This theory suggests that someone familiar with the Ramsey family, such as a former housekeeper or a handyman, could have been involved in the murder of JonBenét. The motive could have been financial or personal. And someone like a housekeeper who had worked in the house would know the layout really well, which, remember, their house was a maze. And despite the speculation, there is no solid evidence to support the involvement of a housekeeper, handyman, or anyone else close to the family. Then we have the predator theory, and this suggests that JonBenét Ramsey was specifically targeted by a predator, possibly someone who is aware of or connected to her pageant appearances. Also remember that the pageants weren't closed pageants. Anybody could go. JonBenét was a child beauty pageant contestant, and her public profile may have made her a target for those with predatory interests. Some have speculated that someone connected to the pageant scene or someone with an unhealthy fascination with young girls could have been involved. However, there is no clear evidence linking her pageant appearances to her murder or pointing to a specific individual from that world. Another theory is about a man named Michael Helgoth. This theory suggests that Michael Helgoth, a local man with a history of violent behavior, may have been involved in JonBenét's murder. Michael Helgoth, an electrician in the Boulder area, owned a pair of high-tech boots, and they appeared to match the prints found at the crime scene, the partial prints. He also possessed a stun gun, and detectives noted that JonBenét's body showed marks consistent with the use of such a device. And there was speculation that Helgoth may have had a motive as he was involved in a property dispute with the Ramseys at the time. Now, what I find extremely interesting about this one little tidbit is Helgoth died by self-infliction in February of 1997. Shortly after the police, I believe it was like 2 days, after the police said that they were closing in on a suspect. His death fueled further speculation as some believed he may have taken his own life due to guilt or fear of being caught. However, there is no direct link between his suicide and JonBenét's murder, and no definitive evidence linking him to the crime. And then we have the foreign faction theory. This theory suggests that the murder of JonBenét Ramsey was the result of an organized group of individuals who initially intended to kidnap her for ransom but accidentally killed her during the process. And this theory is largely based on the content of the ransom note found at the scene, which mentions a foreign faction, and they demanded $118,000 in exchange for JonBenét's safe return. And despite the ransom note's reference to a foreign faction, no concrete evidence has emerged to support the theory that an organized group was involved. And now we're going to get into some of the more bizarre theories with absolutely no evidence, but people like to put things on the internet, and I like to read them aloud. There is a satanic cult theory. People suggest that JonBenét's murder was the result of a ritual sacrifice performed by a local or larger satanic cult. Proponents of this theory argue that the circumstances surrounding JonBenét's death, particularly the way that her body was found, the use of a garrote, and the elements of the ransom note point to a ritualistic or symbolic killing associated with cult activity. But there has been no direct evidence linking her murder to a satanic cult. Then we have MK Ultra programming. The MK Ultra theory suggests, which by the way, I had no idea what this was until I made the script for this video. It suggests that JonBenét Ramsey was a victim of government mind control experiments, a claim based on the idea that she may have been subjected to the CIA's MK Ultra program, which, why a 6-year-old? But it was a covert mind control program during the Cold War era. According to the people behind this theory, JonBenét's murder was the result of these experiments gone wrong. They speculate that she was unknowingly involved in such programs and that the circumstances surrounding her death were part of a failed attempt at mind control. But how did they control you? She had a full autopsy. Like if they had a little chip, or if she had something in her system, wouldn't they find that? I'm going to have to look deeper into this. This rabbit hole never ends. However, Once again, many of the claims linking it to JonBenét's death are speculative and not supported by concrete evidence. Then we have the Illuminati theory. I believe it's at this point of the video where I have to take a moment out to thank Beyonce so that nothing happens to me or my family. But this theory suggests that JonBenét Ramsey's death was a ritualistic sacrifice carried out by the Illuminati, a secret group said to control the world events. Some believe JonBenét, due to her fame as a pageant beauty queen, was targeted to bring power or wealth to those involved, possibly the Ramsey family or others in elite circles. However, there is no evidence to support this theory, and investigators have found no connection between the crime and occult practices, which we have already talked about, and no credible links to the Illuminati. Can you make credible links to the Illuminati? If your goal is to get fame and notoriety and wealth, and you sacrifice a child for the Illuminati, is this the type of notoriety you would want? Everybody speculating that you killed your own children? Is that like when you wish with a genie, and when you wish for something, he gives you something like it, but not at all what you asked for? And I have to tell you, this one, I didn't even know that this was a theory until right now. But there are people who think that JonBenét is Katy Perry. And what I'm even more astounded by is the fact that I was able to say that with a straight face. This conspiracy theory claims that JonBenét Ramsey's death was staged, and she didn't actually die. Instead, it suggests that she grew up to become pop star Katy Perry. Theorists point to supposed similarities in their appearance, as well as Katy Perry's early career as a Christian singer. Were they even born the same year? Editing Bacon, can you help me?
Yeah, hi, what's up?
Were they born the same year?
Nope, they're 4 years apart.
Oh, never mind. And there is no factual basis for the claim that she survived and became Katy Perry. Although I have to say, have you ever seen a picture of Scarlett Johansson and a young Christopher Walken? Have you ever seen them in the same room at the same time? Because, wow. And now with all of that being said, let me know your theory in the comments below. And be sure to share why you believe it. Tell me why. I need why. Also, some evidence would be nice. And before I go today, I just want to take a moment to thank you all for the love and support I've been receiving on these videos and in this community. Honestly, it means so much to me. We just did a live stream this past Friday, and I'd love to do them every week if you guys are interested, or at least once a week to connect with you all. We had so much fun. It was a blast. We talked for 2 hours about just everything about this case, mostly. We also have memberships available, and I have a link to a Google form in the description box if you'd like to suggest cases. Other than that, my name is Bacon Bears, and that's my opinion.